We are joined again by Mayor Bach in our downtown studios. Mayor, thanks again for being with us in July now. This year seems to be scooting along.
Isn't this a beautiful day, John?
Absolutely gorgeous. The last 2 weeks, you guys have had several announcements coming out of your office, some big things happening. I guess we'll start the first one on Monday. You guys announced this project that could be coming to Colorado Springs in terms of bringing tourists. If you can expand on that a little bit.
Well, sure. Monday we had a media conference down at America, the beautiful park, to publicly announce our proposal to the state of Colorado for a portion of what's known as the Regional Tourism Act sales tax rebate program by the state of Colorado. It's a law that the state passed a while back. I think it's a 3-year program. Cities like ours can apply for a state sales tax rebate if we are able to demonstrate that by creating some new tourist venues that we could significantly increase out-of-state tourism into Colorado. So that's what that is all about. And we announced a 4-point plan, a downtown Olympic Museum, and next to that would be a downtown multi-sports stadium and event center. By event center, by the way, we mean outdoors, concerts, conventions, things like that. It's not a convention center. So a stadium and event center, and then up at UCCS, a new sports medicine tourism project that Chancellor Pam Shockey would like to achieve there. And then at the Air Force Academy, a new visitor center.
And that's one of the things, bringing in the Air Force Academy as well. This is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, the Air Force Academy is actually the #1 man-made tourist destination in the state of Colorado.
It is, and of course Pikes Peak is a close second in terms of overall tourism, but the Air Force Academy attracts a lot of visitors, although that has fallen off since 9/11.
Yeah.
People feel more intimidated by going through security at the gates and so forth. So this would be a new tourist attraction that would be outside of the gates. It would be a big new way to welcome people to the Pikes Peak region.
And this is something this grant has gone through Pueblo. They were successful and they received this last year. I think it was $44 million for their the Riverwalk down there. So they're excited about it. It's building momentum down there. And again, the ultimate goal, bring those tourism dollars to Colorado Springs.
That's the whole idea, which is to increase tourism into the state of Colorado and here to our city. You know, just today, I think it's been reported that our unemployment rate in Colorado Springs is still substantially higher than the state of Colorado average unemployment and substantially higher than the national unemployment average. I continue to be very concerned about that. We have a lot of people out of work, many other people underemployed. My job in part, I think, is to encourage economic vitality in this region to help people find stable, well-paying jobs. Now, these new tourist attractions would have a lot to do with that, not only directly, obviously, in terms of, I think, 750 new jobs, but all the spin-off activity, not just in terms of retail, not just restaurants and hotels. Great employers want to locate in special places, especially those employers who hire people who could live anywhere in the world, really. You know, the intellectual property folks, right. The creative classes they're called. So I truly believe that if we're able to get this funding from the state, and by the way, if we don't get this funding, this is all moot. There's no way to find a way to build these projects without help from this Regional Tourism Act. So I'm appreciative of the State Economic Development Commission seriously looking at our proposal.
And this is one of these, I looked at the renderings of the downtown. Of course, there's the ball field, there's the Olympic Museum, and there was also some commercial residential areas. One of the things that I've spoken with various leaders in the city is trying to get people to live downtown in affordable housing. And, you know, once you have people come down here, I think it's a couple thousand people just saying a grocery store, and you're talking about spin-off, that just kind of brings more and more people. It's a central hub that can be built around.
John, we talked many times about how successful cities have a strong downtown. It's the heart of a community. It can help build the soul of a city like ours. And these are concepts. Assuming that the state of Colorado approves our application, we will then have a full public process. City Council will be instrumentally involved, especially with regard to the funding, if there's going to be any public funding of any of these projects. And so the design and a lot of the specifics are still open. We needed to get a proposal in front of the state, and it was due by, actually it was due by next Monday, so we're right at the deadline and we're going to meet that.
And you brought up City Council in an article written, President Keith King said that maybe some of the council members were left out of this whole decision-making process. What do you say? Was that news to you, or was that something that maybe the communication should have been a little bit better between your office and the.
Well, I saw Keith King's comment in the media this week that the first he knew about this was when he read about it in the paper. That's puzzling to me. We have a real disconnect there. President King was briefed a month ago by a member of the organizing committee that put this package together, and as I think you know, this involves a lot of the most prestigious organizations in our community: El Pomar Foundation, Ann Hughes Foundation, the United States Olympic Committee, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Downtown Partnership, Downtown Development Authority, Dick Celeste, former governor of Ohio, who, by the way, attracted the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to Cleveland, former president of Colorado College, who's working on private funding, and also Pam Shockley, chancellor at the University of Colorado Springs, and Mike Gould, the superintendent of the Air Force Academy. So Keith was briefed a month ago by one of the committee members. I asked Keith and Merv Bennett, the president pro tem of council, to have breakfast with me last Friday so I could brief them directly on what I knew, which was limited because this senior leadership group in the community had really done all the work, and I just kind of signed off on it. So I had breakfast with Keith and Merv last Friday, and I briefed Keith and Merv on the top line on this proposal. So there's a disconnect there. I am concerned that some of the city councilors did not find out about this until it was in the media. We intended to brief them privately in advance. We had scheduled phone calls to each of them on Saturday. The news broke. It was supposed to break on Sunday, and it broke on Saturday, outside of our control. So I apologized to the council for that. I regret that circumstance, not intentional by us. We had to keep this to a small group of organizing committee members because of the risk of a leak. And it's a very competitive process. Other communities likely making their own proposals to the State Economic Development Commission for competing projects that would compete with us. So it was essential that we not risk a leak. Now, going forward, City Council is going to be instrumentally involved in this process. I believe it's the mayor's responsibility, and I'm also the chief of economic vitality for our city. And in those dual roles, I think it's my responsibility to bring forward ideas that could propel our city forward, especially in terms of helping people find jobs. It is council's purview, which I fully respect, to determine funding, to approve any public funding. So we're going to engage with council and the community here in a robust manner. We have to have the state approval first. If we don't get that, it's moot.
Where's this money coming from? Obviously, a bulk of it coming from the grant, the tourism grant, but the rest of it's going to have to be coming out of here. How do we sustain something like this, a large project like this?
Well, in this RTA proposal we're making to the state, if it's accepted, which we certainly hope, the state sales tax rebate, and this would be for incremental sales tax that the state receives from these tourist activities, a portion of that would be rebated to us. Not all of it by any means, but I think in the range of about $88 million. We're also working really hard on private donations. Dick Celeste is taking the lead on that. That'll be a very substantial portion of the funding. We could have maybe $74 million in remaining funding to generate. Now, first of all, the stadium we're going to get rent by the user of that stadium, and we expect to have all kinds of special other events, concerts, for example, where we will generate revenue. So we need to analyze what that might be, then determine the balance to fund. I'm hoping that we can find efficiencies in our existing budgets that we can redeploy for this purpose. If we need to borrow any money, whether or not technically we have to ask the voters to approve it, we will definitely go to the voters. Just like we did, John, on Memorial Health System. You may remember that City Council had the authority to lease Memorial Health System without a vote of the people. I asked that we go to the voters anyway, and Council, I appreciate, agreed. And so we did go to the voters on that, and overwhelmingly our community supported the lease of a hospital to the University of Colorado Health. In this case, if we're going to use public money, if we're going to borrow any money, even if it's within existing cash flow capability, and I have no intention of raising any taxes for this, by the way, we'll go to the voters on this. There'll be a full public process. We had to get this concept in front of the State Economic Development Commission, and we had to do it by next Monday. So we're meeting that deadline, and now we'll proceed to have a full conversation with our fellow citizens.
Big announcement at the Colorado Springs Airport. We're going to the Evergreen State. Tell me a little bit about this. This is something I know yourself, Dan Gallagher, everyone's been working on for quite a while. Tell me a little bit about this new flight going to Seattle.
Last Thursday, late, we got word that Alaska Airlines was seriously considering a direct flight between Colorado Springs and Seattle, and then Friday morning, the airline made that announcement. So we had our own media conference at our airport. Exciting day for our region, beginning on November 2nd. The first flight will leave Colorado Springs for Seattle. I understand the cost to be, $5 more than the same flight from DIA. But when you add up the savings in parking, convenience, hopefully a great facility people appreciate, it's going to be a wonderful new experience. Alaska Air has said if that works well, if it is successful, they'll add other destinations from Colorado Springs. So we need to get behind that. I plan to be on the first flight with my wife, Susie. Hope you'll be there.
Hey, I wouldn't mind taking a couple days and going up there and checking it out. Again, this is something that's been worked on for quite a long time, and the excitement, we posted it on our Facebook page, on our website, and people just seem to take off. But like you said, people have to be more excited. They have to use this flight in order to, one, sustain it and possibly expand from it.
We have two key objectives for our airport. One is affordability. We have to make this airport more affordable for folks to want to use it. And that means we need to get our costs down, which we are doing, so that we can lower the landing fees for the airlines, because all the money we spend at the airport gets passed through to all the airlines. So we're working really hard on getting our costs down in order to get fares down. The second goal that we have is obviously more destinations. Now, we're never going to compete head up with a place like DIA. Don't want to really, but there are certainly many cities where we believe that direct service between Colorado Springs and those destinations makes sense based on the demand. So I'm just really proud of everybody involved in the airport. Mark Earl, our previous airport director, did a great job in creating really a world-class facility and kind of laid the groundwork for this relationship with Alaska Air. And Dan Gallagher, now our interim airport director, has taken that baton and run with it. We expect to have more announcements, we hope, in the next 60, 90 days of additional airlines, we hope, additional flights. Folks need to use our airport. We'll do everything we can to get the cost down, make it convenient.
When is the next actual town hall going to be?
Our next town hall meeting will be Tuesday, the 30th of July, at the Colorado Springs Police Department Falcon Substation. I think the address is 7850 Goddard, which is in North Colorado Springs, just off of North Academy and Kelly Johnson, from 6:30 till 8 p.m. That's Tuesday, the 30th of July. I hope folks will come out. Anywhere from around the city, come and be there with us, and let's talk about what the priorities ought to be for the city and ideas that people have to make this city better.
All right. Mayor Bach, appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.